always thought birthdays were meant to be the happiest days of the year, moments filled with love, laughter, and the kind of surprises that made you feel cherished. But this year, my birthday changed everything. It started with a smile, a surprise, and a promise that I'd never forget the day, and it ended with tears, betrayal, and a truth I wish I'd never discovered. This is the story of how one surprise birthday turned into the moment that shattered everything I believed about love, friendship, and trust. It was early in the morning when I woke up, feeling the kind of excitement that only comes once a year. I had no idea what was waiting for me that day, but something inside told me that this birthday would be different, special. Even my girlfriend, Emily, had been acting strange all week. She was secretive, whispering on calls, smiling when I'd ask what she was up to. Every time I asked, she'd just laugh and say, "You'll see, baby, just wait till Saturday." I thought maybe she was planning something sweet, like a dinner with friends or maybe a small trip out of town. Emily loved surprises, and she knew how much I appreciated her effort. The day started beautifully. The sun was out, a soft breeze came through the window, and my phone buzzed with birthday messages from family and friends. I remember sitting up in bed and feeling that warmth that comes from knowing people care, but something still felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it. Emily wasn't home when I woke up, even though she had the day off. There was a note on the kitchen counter, written in her neat handwriting, "Don't make any plans for tonight. Dress nicely. Love you." I smiled, imagining her setting up something elaborate, maybe a rooftop dinner, or even a surprise with close friends. She always wanted things to be perfect. I spent most of the day just relaxing, trying not to ruin the surprise. Around noon, my best friend Mark called. He wished me happy birthday, and then said something strange. "Hey man, you got big plans tonight?" I laughed and said, "I think so. Emily's planning something. No idea what." There was a pause on the line, one of those silences that felt heavier than it should. He just said, "Cool, cool, have fun, bro," and hung up quickly. Something about his tone stuck with me. It wasn't excitement, it was nervousness, but I brushed it off. Maybe I was just imagining things. As the evening approached, I showered, got dressed in a clean button-down and jeans, and waited. Around 7 p.m., Emily texted me, "Be ready in 20 minutes. Someone's coming to pick you up." I felt my heart jump. I loved that kind of mystery. A few minutes later, a black car pulled up outside our apartment. The driver rolled down the window and smiled, saying, "You must be Ryan. Let's go, man." I nodded and got in. The drive was about 20 minutes long, through familiar streets. I tried to guess the destination, but he wouldn't tell me. "Can't ruin the surprise," he said with a grin. When we finally pulled up, my jaw dropped. It was one of the nicest restaurants in the city, the kind of place we could barely afford even on special occasions. I got out, thanked the driver, and walked in. The hostess smiled when she saw me. "This way, Mr. Collins, your party's waiting." Party? My chest filled with warmth. Emily must have invited everyone. I imagined her standing inside, holding a cake, smiling that radiant smile she had. The hostess led me through the restaurant, around a corner, and there they were. A group of people yelled, "Surprise!" The lights flashed, confetti burst in the air, and I felt a rush of joy. My friends, my coworkers, even a few family members were there. And in the middle of it all, Emily, wearing a beautiful red dress, her eyes shining. I pulled her into a hug, kissed her cheek, and whispered, "You're amazing." She smiled back and said, "You deserve the best." For a while, everything was perfect. We laughed, we ate, we toasted to life and love. Emily gave a small speech about how much I meant to her, how proud she was of the person I'd become. Everyone clapped. It felt like one of those moments you wanted to freeze forever. But then, as the night went on, small cracks began to show. Around 9:30, I noticed something strange. Mark, my best friend since childhood, was sitting across the room. He wasn't himself. He kept glancing at Emily, avoiding my eyes. I thought maybe he was just drunk, but then I saw Emily looking back at him, the same way. A quick glance, then another. Something about it felt intimate, familiar. My stomach tightened. I tried to ignore it. I didn't want to ruin the night, but the more I watched, the more I saw it. Small things, subtle but telling. The way she smiled at him, the way he leaned closer when she spoke, how their eyes met when they thought I wasn't looking. My mind started spinning, replaying every weird moment from the past few weeks. Emily being distant, Mark canceling hangouts, their sudden inside jokes. I felt sick. Trying to calm myself, I got up and went to the restroom. I splashed cold water on my face, staring at myself in the mirror. "You're overthinking," I told myself. "It's your birthday, don't ruin it." But deep down, something in me knew, instinct doesn't lie. When I came back, the mood had shifted slightly. Some guests had left, and the remaining group was drinking and laughing louder. Emily was gone from her seat. I looked around, no sign of her. I scanned the restaurant, and then I saw it, out through the window, near the parking lot. Two figures, close, too close. My heart dropped. It was Emily, and Mark. They were standing near her car, half hidden by the shadows. She had her hand on his chest, and he was saying something I couldn't hear. Then, she leaned forward and kissed him. I froze. The room around me seemed to vanish. I couldn't hear the music, the laughter, nothing, just that image, my girlfriend, the love of my life, kissing my best friend on the night she threw me a surprise birthday party. My chest tightened, my hands started shaking. For a few seconds, I couldn't breathe. I walked outside quietly, my footsteps heavy, my throat dry. They didn't even notice me at first. I got closer, my voice trembling when I finally said, "So this was the surprise?" They both turned. Emily's eyes went wide, her face pale. Mark looked like he'd seen a ghost. She stepped forward, stammering, "Ryan, it's not what it looks like." But I just laughed, a bitter, broken sound that didn't feel like mine. "Not what it looks like? You're literally kissing my best friend on my birthday, Emily." Mark tried to speak, but I raised my hand. "Don't, just don't." The silence between us was unbearable. Emily's eyes filled with tears, but I couldn't feel anything anymore. The warmth, the love, the trust, all gone in seconds. I walked past them, got into a cab, and went home alone. The messages started pouring in after that, Emily calling, texting, apologizing, saying it was a mistake, that it meant nothing. Mark tried too, saying he didn't mean for it to happen, that they were both drunk, confused, whatever excuse they could come up with. But none of it mattered. That night, I sat in the dark, the decorations still up at home, the sound of laughter echoing in my head. I opened my phone and looked at the photos from earlier, Emily smiling beside me, her arm around my shoulder. To anyone else, we looked perfect, but behind that smile, she was hiding something that would destroy everything we built. Over the next few days, the truth came out piece by piece. I learned that Emily and Mark had been seeing each other for months. It started innocently, friendly chats, sharing frustrations, late-night talks when I was working late shifts. Then one night, they crossed a line, and never looked back. She told me she still loved me, that she didn't mean for it to happen, that she just got lost. But betrayal doesn't come with explanations that make it easier. It just sits in your chest and burns. The worst part wasn't even the cheating, it was the way they planned the party together. Every detail, every laugh, every moment that felt so genuine was built on a lie. The surprise wasn't love, it was a mask to cover guilt. I moved out a week later. Emily cried, begged me to stay, said she'd do anything to fix it. But how do you fix something that's already shattered into 1,000 pieces? Mark tried reaching out too, but I blocked him. I couldn't even look at his name without feeling sick. For weeks, I replayed that night in my head, the laughter, the glances, the kiss in the parking lot. I wondered if there were signs I should have seen earlier, the late replies, the cancelled plans, the sudden coldness. Love blinds you to the obvious sometimes. You trust the people closest to you, and that's exactly what makes betrayal so devastating. Months passed. I threw myself into work, into distractions, anything to stop thinking about it, but birthdays haven't been the same since. I stopped celebrating. Every year, when the date comes around, I still remember that night, the way happiness turned to heartbreak in a single moment. And yet, strangely, that night also changed me for the better. It taught me that sometimes, life shatters you to rebuild you stronger. I learned that people's actions reveal their truth more than words ever will. I learned that self-worth doesn't come from how others treat you, but from how you rise after being broken. Years later, Emily reached out again. She said she was sorry, that she'd made the biggest mistake of her life, that she'd never stopped loving me. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. I had already forgiven her, not for her sake, but for mine. Carrying hate is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Forgiveness set me free, but I never forgot. Now, whenever I think about that day, I don't see it as the worst birthday ever. I see it as the day I found out the truth I needed to know, the day the mask fell off, the day I stopped living in a lie. Sometimes, life doesn't give you the celebration you expect. Sometimes, it gives you clarity, and that's worth more than any surprise party. So if you're listening to this, and you've ever had your trust broken, remember this: heartbreak isn't the end, it's a new beginning. Because the people who hurt you don't define your story, you do. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that the moment everything changed was the moment you finally found yourself again.